The stalwart drifted on invisible currents at the outermost edge of Neptune's orbit, its dark hull reflecting distant starlight like a solitary ember in deep night. Inside the bridge, Admiral Kayla Minard stood motionless before the holoscreen, her sharp eyes tracing the luminous boundary that separated human space from the silent expanse beyond. 30 years had passed since the Treaty of Soul had gone into effect. 30 years of impenetrable quiet. No ship had dared cross the threshold. No diplomats, no traders, no refugees. Only the whisper of quantum fluctuations and the jitter of G-field scanners, as if some unseen barrier repelled all but the bravest or most foolhardy. Rumors swirled in the Milky Way Council's corridors. Tales of vessels vanishing mid-transmission, of sensors picking up a vast humming intelligence that stretched for light years. Minard tapped a console and watched 3 pristine spheres automated observation pods launch toward the Shimmer line. Each pod was equipped with deep scan arrays and a single human crew member in suspended animation, ready to record for weeks at a time. "Begin rollout," she said softly. Behind her, Lieutenant Commander Rosk leaned over the tactical display. His four-fingered hand hovered above a red icon. "Admiral, Pod Alpha reports interference at 1.7 light minutes out. The signal is—" He broke off, eyes widening. "It's like a heartbeat." Across the bridge, Ensign Vera adjusted her audio receptors. "I'm picking up something. Not sound per se, but a rhythmic pulse. It's almost musical." She paused. "I can't replicate it with standard filters." Minard's jaw tightened. On screen, the holoscreen flickered and resolved into a gradient of indigo and silver, waves rippling outward in perfect arcs. For a moment, the crew held its collective breath at the uncanny beauty of what looked like a living tapestry of light. Then the pattern distorted, folding inward until only darkness remained. "Pod Alpha is gone," Rosk announced. A hollow silence filled the bridge, broken only by the steady hum of the ship's engines. Minard closed her eyes and remembered. The day the treaty was signed, a pact born from fear, from the knowledge that humanity's mastery of quantum entanglement arrays had accidentally summoned something vast and ancient. The Watchers, they called them beings of pure thought and endless patience, whose presence had nearly erased every mind on Mars Colony Sigma. When they withdrew, the survivors sealed Earth behind a field of obstacles, fields of graviton distortions, webs of G-fields, quantum-locked coordinates. "No species enters human space," the treaty proclaimed. But treaties are only as strong as the will behind them, and the galaxy was beginning to wonder if humanity still had the will to enforce theirs. Minard tapped her comm panel. "Signal the Council. Tell them we've lost contact with Alpha. Prepare to send in Beta and Gamma immediately." "Acknowledged," Rosk said, already issuing orders to his station. Minard stepped away from the hollow boundary view and strode toward the command table, where a three-dimensional star chart lay rotating. Tiny icons marked every system allied with the Terran Union. Beyond them lay uncharted territory. She laid a hand on the chart. "Every civilization out there wants to know what's behind these lines. Some want answers, some want conquest. But none will risk the void if we stand ready." "Admiral," Vera called. "I've tuned into a distress beacon weak, but definitely artificial. It's coming from just beyond the boundary." Minard's heart hammered. On screen, a pale blue triangle flickered into existence, a drifting vessel, its hull pockmarked with micro-impacts, its lights blinking erratically. "No markings, no identification. Is it human?" Rosk asked. "No registry code," Vera replied. "But the shape. It's reminiscent of late-century Terran design." A chill passed through the bridge. "Could be a rogue human ship," Minard said, "or something else wearing our skin." She activated the long-range comm transmitter. "This is Admiral Minard of the Terran Union flagship Stalwart. Identify yourself and state your intent. Nothing. The come line was a hollow void. Admiral, Vera whispered. The distress beacon is repeating a single phrase in multiple languages. Behold what watches. I've matched fragments to several alien dialects, but the phrase itself doesn't translate cleanly. Maynard's eyes narrowed. She rose and paced before the tactical readouts. The Watchers. Always the Watchers. She turned back to her officers. They've never spoken through us. If this, whatever this is, carries their message, then something has changed. Prepare to launch an interception team. I want samples, recordings, anything that can shed light on what lies beyond. As the crew scrambled, Maynard allowed herself a single thought. Whether friend or foe, the galaxy was about to learn why no species ventured into human space, and why humanity would kill to keep it that way. A tremor ran through every council chamber in the Iran arm when the stalwart's comnet lit up with a single haunting word. It repeated in dozens of tongues: old Terran, Alinder, Vetheri, even the guttural clicks of the Kauresk. Forgive. Emissaries froze mid-gesture, fingers hovering over datapads. Across the chambers of Arcus Prime, holographic displays blinked to life in unison. A secure feed from Admiral Kayla Maynard aboard the flagship. She appeared pale but resolute, flanked by senior officers whose eyes betrayed equal parts awe and dread. Council Speaker Rausch, Maynard began, her voice composed though every syllable trembled under its weight. We have received more than a plea. We have received our own history unedited and uncensored. She raised a gloved hand and the holoscreen behind her transformed. It filled with grainy, sepia-toned footage, an old Earth broadcast crackling with static. The image centered on a sprawling research complex on Mars Colony Sigma. Circa 2164, CE scientists bustled around a massive crystalline lattice, the neural cascade array. Blue arcs of psychic energy branched from its core, feeding into a dozen induction chambers. Humanity believed it had unlocked the next stage of evolution. Maynard's voice soft but clear. Unity of mind, shared dreams, collective genius. But we did not foresee what lay dormant in the psychic substrate of the cosmos. The footage glitched and cut to chaos. Alarms blared as the lattice overloaded. Researchers screamed, some in terror, some in elation, as the psychic field pulsed outward. The colony's domes cracked. Minds fractured. A dozen telepaths tried to contain the feedback, their bodies convulsing with brainstorm energies too vast to hold. One face remained. Dr. Lena Corvine, lead physicop psychologist. She looked straight at the camera, eyes glowing with unnatural light. They are awakening, she whispered, even as her form dissolved into a halo of indigo radiance. Suddenly, the holofeed shifted again, this time showing an observer's POV in deep space. A vast, shimmering silhouette, neither holy matter nor pure thought, drifted among the stars. The first glimpses of the Watchers. Maynard paused the playback. The Watchers were not invaders, she explained. They were awakened. They watched. Use awakened them. In our hubris, we shattered countless lives and theirs. Her fingers danced over the console, replaying scenes of telepathic backlash. Smoke rising from broken reactors. Telepaths cradling the dying. Survivors weeping in the dust. A low murmur swept through the assembled delegates. Emissary Larissa's slender fingers clenched her chair's armrests. You unleashed them on yourselves, she said softly, then withdrew behind these fields, leaving the galaxy to wonder whether you were a threat or a paradox. Precisely, Maynard replied. Our exclusion zone was never meant to be a fortress of aggression. It was an apology in action, a quarantine to protect you from us and to protect ourselves from repeating that catastrophe. Council Speaker Rausch folded his hands. What guarantees do we have that the Watchers will not be drawn once more by another experiment, another fleet of curious minds? A secondary holoscreen flickered on, showing a network of crystalline beacons relay stations, constructed in cooperation between human and allied engineers on neutral worlds. These are the vigil posts, Maynard said. They monitor psychic flux across the arm. We propose extending this network and sharing the data freely so that every civilization can see, in real time, the ripples of neural cascade events. Emissary Cock of the Vethri leaned forward, mandibles clicking. You ask us to aid you in watching the Watchers? Not to fight them, Minor replied, but to learn from them, to understand how to live with their presence without reawakening. Something catastrophic. Forgive us our past mistake, but grant us the chance to make it right. Silence stretched as old rivalries and ancient grievances warred in the minds of every delegate. Then, one by one, they spoke. Cautious endorsements. Wary suggestions for oversight councils. Requests for joint research vessels. By the time the final tally flashed on the holoscreen 19 in favor, 3 abstentions, none opposed, the weight of centuries seemed to shift. Later, as the delegates filtered out of the grand chamber, Admiral Maynard allowed herself a moment to stare at the twin suns of Arcus Prime through the open balcony. The galaxy's curiosity had been sated, its fear confronted. Now they would stand together on the cusp of a new understanding humanities, penance transformed into collective vigilance. And somewhere, in the quiet spaces between stars, the Watchers watched 2 no longer distant gods summoned unwittingly, but ancient allies in a cosmic chorus, finally recognized and, perhaps at last, at peace. Asterisk.